Happening. It's happening.
Yeah, that's how we wanted to start, Mike.
It is. Hi, everybody. Hi, everyone. It's Mike, and this is Paxton. Yet again, I'm pointing the wrong direction because I have the camera turned around. Welcome to a Mad LiberTEA Time. We have a special guest today, and he is with us, and I can't get the overlay to come off, so give me 1 second. This is not as cool as I thought it was going to be.
There we
Hi.
go.
We have a friend in today. His name is Nickolas Wildstar. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell them who you are? Like, why are you here? Who are you, Mr. Liberty?
Well, again, thank you guys for having me here on the show. It's a wonderful opportunity to be heard by more people, especially those that are looking to get involved in the liberty movement. That's exactly what I am, and I'm an ambassador of that in so many ways. I have been involved in community activism out here in California for over a decade now.
Oh yeah.
I was inspired by Sir Liberty Movement himself, Ron Paul. I got involved in Ron Paul campaign for president in 2018 and just got disillusioned with the two-party system after voting for Barack Obama and hearing him speak all the mouthpiece and rhetoric about ending the, Wall Street's involvement in politics. Then a month into his presidency, he takes a $500,000 check from Goldman Sachs. So I knew he was a
Yeah.
sellout right to win. And me being a longtime voter for the Democratic Party, wanted to get away from party politics and started looking into other alternatives. And that's when I stumbled upon Dr. Ron Paul, learned more about him, the Federal Reserve, occupational wars, etc. And it just inspired me again to get involved in it myself. So I would say the first few years I was involved as an anonymous protester. I would go out and Occupy protests, wearing my Guy Fawkes mask during the Occupy Wall Street movement. They had that happening here in California, Occupy LA, Occupy San Diego. And I did my best to just go around, bounce around, get involved in as many marches and protests as possible, and had been ever since. So I've been involved in Black Lives Matter protests. I've been involved in women's rights protests, censorship of media, genetically modified foods, and of course, abuses of authority by our elected officials, especially police officers, who I myself have been a victim of police brutality. So that's one of the issues that I tend on focusing on a lot, since it again has affected me personally. So around 2014, I ran for governor of California as an independent candidate, and I ran again in 2018. I was the nominated libertarian candidate for California governor. I also ran for mayor of Fresno. Not sure if you can see that here.
Yeah.
Ran for mayor of Fresno this year, 2020, and I'm running again in 2022 as a Republican, a libertarian Republican, going the Ron Paul route. So hopefully I can use the larger platform of the Republican Party to be heard by more people and propose those libertarian solutions to the many problems that are going on. I'm also a raptivist, someone that pretty much is a rap artist, but uses the art of music to motivate others about what's going on in the community and, inspire some activism in them with regards to certain subjects such as police abuse, etc. So I am a rap artist named Q Ball. You can look me up on SoundCloud. Pandora, iTunes, all that good shit. Q Ball, the real, spelled like it is, the real. And my Twitter is the real Q Ball. And I'm also a very well-known First Amendment auditor. I have a YouTube channel that has over 6 million views. And the majority of those views came from me actually going into court and challenging judges on traffic tickets, of all things. And just again, speaking on that, the common laws that our justice system is supposed to be, acting on as far as their authority. But we know all too well that they act outside of the law itself. They create the laws, they dictate the laws, and then they enforce the laws, those laws that they create upon us, we the people. So check out my YouTube channel, please, definitely. And I also have a podcast called The Black Side of Liberty, which I just started recently. Yeah. So doing my best again to just stay involved as much as possible and bring awareness to many of the issues that are crippling our inner cities, our communities as a whole. No matter where you live, they tend to trickle up, trickle down, and always tend to harm us in one form or another. So I am involved right now in a recall petition to get the governor out of office, Governor Gavin Newsom, who I call New Scum. He is the scum of the pod, you know, and when you talk about cleaning up the swamp shit, you got to start in your own backyard. So that's exactly what I'm doing and getting involved in a recall to get Newsom out of office. If we are successful in doing so, which I believe we will, then the people of California will have an opportunity to vote for me sooner in the special election, opposed to waiting until March 2022. So that's the rundown.
How does that work, out of curiosity? Because I've been wondering about that.
Well, first you got to get the petition successfully filed with the state. That does take a matter of you having an understanding of how that process goes. Thankfully, the people that have initiated this recall are very well aware of that. They were also involved in the recall of Governor Gray Davis, one of our past governors here, who was recalled. And out of that election, we got Arnold Schwarzenegger, of all people. So California has been the only state, one of the only few states in the union that has successfully recalled a governor. So we're hoping to do that again this time around. And we do need to collect signatures, even just to get it on the ballot, so we can have an opportunity to vote for that recall. And the signature requirement at this time is 1.5 million signatures. Wow. So they give you a deadline, a certain amount of time for you to collect those signatures, which started early June, and the deadline is November 17th. So we had from that time to collect all of those signatures needed. We did file for an extension in the event that we are unable to get the signatures that we need. But in the meantime, we are definitely far along in that process. I believe we got over 750,000 signatures. So we're halfway there to that 1.5 million. And if indeed the recall petition is successful, then it'll be on the ballot. And then the people of California can vote to recall the governor. If that happens, then we have a special election where the governor can run for re-election, and then he's open to be replaced by any other candidates that are running against him, and that being me, one of them.
I gotcha.
Awesome. How many people are going to run?
I'm not sure. So far, there's been about 5 or 6 declared candidates, I believe, me being one of them as well. So, but these are all candidates that have, I guess, declared themselves more so for the March 22 election. Reason being is because in California, our primary is what's most important. We have a top 2 primary, so the top 2 candidates, no matter what their party affiliation are the only candidates that proceed through to the general election in November. So let's say, for instance, the primary comes along and you get 2 Republicans or 2 Democrats that win the primary. Those will be the only 2 candidates that we, the people, get to choose from come the general election. So the focus is on March, especially, please, if you're watching out there and you're in California, March 2022, March 8th, 2022, it's going to be here before you know it. I would say about a year and 6 months from now. So I'm starting my campaign now so more people in the state can know my name. And thankfully, because of the 2018 campaign, when I was the nominated libertarian candidate, that got me lots of attention in the state. But as I said, the mainstream media, fake news, don't really want to talk about anybody other than the two candidates that they want to pop up and, have fight each other, and they ignore the rest. So
they're the ones paying their tickets,
Exactly. Yeah. And they're the ones funding their campaigns and wanting to get them in office. So that's why I'm turning to the people of the public and asking for donations, small donations, $5, $10, $20, whatever they can to help me reach the needed amount to really just do the basics, which is make sure that I have my name on the ballot, which is going to cost about $4,000. It's also going to cover me being able to have my name in the voter handbook, which is sent out to every voter in the state. And that's going to be about $1,200 or so. They charge $25 a word. So in the last run for governor, there was a guy in there that had a statement, I kid you not, it said, "Why not?" Okay. the guy got a few thousand votes just off of saying that. Nobody knew who the heck he was, but they read that voter book. And there's a great number of people in the state, voters, that do rely on that voter handbook. So it's imperative that I not only get in the voter handbook, but also, of course, have an opportunity to have my name on the ballot itself. When I ran in 2014, I was a write-in candidate. Nobody wants to write in a candidate, People are lazy, and they have a knee-jerk reaction when it comes to voting. They see somebody's name on a billboard or in a commercial, then they get in the voting booth and I heard that person's name, and then they just check that name. So we want to change things here. Unfortunately, we still got to play the game the way it is.
I hate that. Like, doesn't that frustrate you? Like, are you actually a libertarian, or are you an anarchist, or do you hate the titles, or?
Yeah, I don't really like all of the titles, but I lean more towards the Libertarian Party and its principles because it's in alignment of what I feel like is we should have a limited government that is so small you can barely see it, that has an effect that's so minimal it doesn't really impact our lives so severely. I mean, right now, California has one of the highest costs of living in the entire state. And the reason being is because the working class is being nickeled and dimed left and right. During this pandemic, this entire time, we've had gas prices went up, one of the highest in the nation. It went up another 50 cents a few months ago. They've also increased property taxes, which supposedly is supposed to go towards paying for school, public education. But in the state of California, we have shut down our schools. So we can't even take advantage of public services that we're paying for. So the bleeding needs to stop. The economical draining of the working class. The people are leaving the state in droves. Businesses are leaving. They actually just had the governor just signed a ban on flavored tobacco products. So while I see you vaping there in the state of California, you won't be able to buy any flavored vape oil,
Fuck that shit. Like the reason why I vape to stop smoking is to get rid of that taste and stuff.
Yeah, and then they want to tell us, oh, well, those aren't adult flavors. It's like, what is considered an adult flavor? They're not marketing these products to kids. And if a kid was to go into a smoke shop or a liquor store or wherever the hell they sell these vape oils or whatever the case may be,
like, hey,
you're not going to sell it to a kid.
Shoot. Like, I look like I'm young. I don't know if you'll believe me, but I'm 36.
You do. What's that?
So I'm 36. And so, like, I'll go into these stores and they look at me like, where's your dad?
Right.
And I'm like, well, my father died a few years after my kid was born. Would you like an ID? And they look at it, or like when I get ID'd, I'm like, thank you. Just thank you. But like, they're not going to sell to kids. They don't want to do that. They're not out there trying to, the people in the stores are not like some super villains trying to push this shit on children like drug dealers on the corner.
Exactly. But that's the way that the machine is propagandizing it, to scare people into saying, oh, this is a good thing. It's going to protect our kids. No, it's not. It's going to harm adults.
Kids smoke cigarettes. If they don't have options to get flavored stuff, they're gonna smoke cigarettes.
Right. And just like I said, who determines what's considered an adult flavor, you know? And as adults, we like flavors. Shit, we like hazelnut, we like cherry, we like cookies, we like flavors, you know? So nobody's
Funnel
going
cake.
right, see?
It'd be like saying the coffee market is trying to like market towards children with their hazelnut flavored coffee creamers and gingerbread flavored. It doesn't make any sense.
Right. So
Well,
why
they're not gonna say that caffeine is a dangerous chemical, though. They like their regulated chemicals they can tax, like caffeine and alcohol and
Oh, they tax the
like
shit
that.
out of nicotine, tobacco.
Oh, yeah.
Nicotine.
Definitely. We have so many sin taxes in the state of California, it's ridiculous. I mean, whether it's vape products, wine, cigarettes, marijuana, you know, even though we're one of the country's leaders in, you know, marijuana reform and bills like SB 420, I guess, that allowed people to be able to purchase marijuana legally in the state and use it for medicinal purposes. This was before every other state in the union started to pass recreational laws. We just passed that this past year. So we're slow to change, but yet we have a lot of people in the state that are very demanding of these changes and want to exercise their freedoms, you know, without being ridiculed or ostracized because of them. But the state is slow to react to the people. That's where I want to get in, because I have heard so many voices from word on the street, and the people just want to be left alone. So as governor, that's what I'll be doing. I'll be reversing everything this governor has done, the one before him and the one before him, to minimize the impact that it has had on we the people, so we can just be left alone and do what we do best, and that's live our lives. That's keep this economy going by going out there and working and providing for ourselves instead of depending on the government for a handout, and, you know, take care of our kids, really and truly.
So
yeah, not just our own kids, but our communities. If we are able to take care of ourselves, we can take care of each other.
Absolutely.
We don't need the government to do it for us. I hate to cut you off real quick, but I'm afraid I'm going to forget this question, and it was asked to me by some of my California buddies.
No, please do. Go ahead.
I went to high school in SoCal, Marina High School out in Huntington Beach, and I remember there being some issues starting before I left, but like my friends continued to talk about the housing issue there. Is there anything that you as governor can do about that? And if so, what would you do about it? Because from what I understand, the government is what's been giving people the runaround. They're bringing in things that they want and pushing housing opportunities and decently priced housing opportunities specifically out of the option plate.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, all I can do is what I said, is reverse the policies and regulatory, you know, impositions that they have put on the housing industry. That way there can be more development. I've spoken with housing developers, and they said, I would love to build, you know, a community of homes. I would love to build a center for the homeless. I would love to build, you know, low income housing. But the cost for me to do that is just too high. We have license fees, and in the state of California, just for you to build, that reach tens of thousands of dollars. Why is anybody going to spend that much just on fees when they haven't put any cost into actually building the home and buying, you know, the supplies needed to actually build the house?
It blows my mind that people don't understand exactly that the government that they keep voting for to fix these things are the ones that are actually like literally putting their hand down in front of it.
Exactly.
And they just don't understand. They just keep voting for the same group of people to fix it, and they're the ones that have been stopping it. Yeah, and I mean, like, this seems to even go all the way down to City Hall, though. So, like, people can take some accountability in their homes if they start ripping these people out of their jobs.
Absolutely, and you're right about it coming boiling down just to the minimal level of city council representatives. Yeah, I ran for city council of Fullerton, and one of the things I was asked is, are you receiving money from any of the developers? Of course not, but my opponents, however, could not say that. They were getting tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions even, from these specific property development companies that wanted to make sure they could monopolize the market and make sure that nobody else had an opportunity to come in and build. Let's say, for instance, you live in a neighborhood and you see a plot of land that's available and you yourself would like to buy it, but you only have X amount of dollars. Well, guess what? If the conglomerate comes along and they have a politician in their pocket, they're going to be given favors, special attention over you. And we want to change that. That's the crony capitalistic way of our economy right now that I would rid completely, because I don't give a damn about any corporation. I don't give a damn about any monopoly. I give a damn about we the people, the individual that's working their ass off to make sure that they can provide for themselves and their families and or the community. Like you said, we don't even need to make sure that our own kids are taken care of. The children are the future. And if you truly believe that, you want to make sure that they're not being passed down any debt, uncontrollable debt that we can't even pay off ourselves. But for some reason, as adults, we say, it's okay, you can tax us now and we'll pay for it later. Later on down the line. It's like, well, if something happens to you and you lose your source of income, then what happens to that debt? It gets passed on to me and everyone else. Now we're held liable for that. So I would do as much as I can to, again, rid the industry, the housing industry, of all the regulatory impositions, all of the license fees, permit fees, zoning laws, all of that shit's got to go.
Yeah, it's a tangled mess there in California with that stuff. And that is one of the things that I hear people talk about one of the most, that and their concern for the homeless and the way they're being treated.
Absolutely.
Like, everybody says it's like pretty tyrannous out there, and that is it like actually true you guys are doing like asset forfeiture for homeless people and stuff?
It's horrible. Ridiculous. Yeah.
Like they already have nothing almost, and we're going to take what they've got.
Lots of shopping carts.
In Fullerton, and that was near Angel Stadium out in Anaheim. And if you look it up, around the time that I lived there, which was about 2 years ago or so, they had a ever increasing homeless population, which blew up to be like 2,000, 3,000 people that were living in an area near Angel Stadium. Well, the city came in because they thought it was unsightly to be in the backdrop of Angel Stadium. And they took all of those people's property, their tents and whatever living quarters that they had created to, again, live in an area that was pretty much just empty. It was like near the LA River basin. So they were in an area of town that was pretty much no man's land. But because it was, again, unsightly to those city officials, they decided to send in the police, take all of their tents, send some of them to jail. So taxpayers ended up having to pay for them sitting in jail. And they also gave them temporary housing and hotels in that area, which if you look it up, Gavin Newsom was paying millions of dollars to keep these homeless people in hotels. My solution, I've always been proposing it since I found out about it, is to create 3D printed homes. This technology
tiny homes
right now. It's not a pipe dream.
I fucking love that idea. Yeah, they're making those little tiny homes out of like in other countries. They're making tiny homes and stuff out of like hemp and shit. We could be doing that
exactly. Here. And with these 3D printed homes, they're self-sustainable homes that can be built in less than 24 hours and for less than $5,000 each. California spends tens of millions of dollars a year to help the homeless. If we used a fraction of that to make sure that we built a community, let's say start with 100, 1,000, whatever the case may be. Build a community of these 3D printed homes and allow it to be temporary housing for those people that are living on the street. I'm pretty sure they'll stay there, they'll get a job, they'll get on their feet, and they'll move on. Now that house becomes available to the next person that may be homeless and in need of, some housing. And I think we definitely could come up with a better solution than what we're doing now. And what aids to that also is that increased cost of living for homes. If they can't afford to pay the rent, next thing you know, if they miss a paycheck or two, most of the people are living paycheck to paycheck. They miss that income. Now they're ending up on the street. And not every homeless person lives on the street. You have people that live in their cars, and they've made that a crime. You can't sleep in your car in certain neighborhoods, like out in Orange County, where you were saying Huntington Beach. It's illegal for you to sleep in your car in the park or somewhere. So they will tell you need to move around, or they'll give you a ticket that you can't afford. The next thing you know, if you can't pay that ticket or go to court and make an appearance to beg the court to not force you to pay that ticket, you'll have an arrest warrant out for your arrest. So that's the cycle that they've created, and it needs to be broken at some point. You need someone brave enough, such as myself, to take an executive seat and say enough is enough. The people have had enough, and this is how we're going to end it. I'll do so immediately once taking office. Day one, that is my pledge to we the people, to end all of these policies immediately.
I mean, that kind of goes everywhere. Like, there's so many of these BS laws that exist across the entirety of the United States that are specifically targeted towards the lower income brackets, where it hurts the most. They, right. They want to tax the poor into oblivion. They do not want you to get to that middle bracket, and it makes no sense to me. That's how we get strong economies. That's how we get a strong country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've talked about this a lot on the show.
Yeah.
What they want, the elitists, what they want is to have a working population that only has enough to make sure that they are staying employed by them, that they never have an opportunity to grow and prosper and move up in life, like you just said, which is why the majority of people that haven't left the state is because they can't afford to. Mm-hmm. The people that have packed up and left the state so far, they had the means, and people in Silicon Valley that work there can't even live there. Same thing goes for San Francisco.
Even some of the businesses are pulling out too, like Elon.
Yes. And multi-million-dollar vaping companies. There's a company called Charlie's Chalk Dust. I believe they make about $1 million a year selling vape oils, and $1 million a month. Pardon me.
Yeah, and I mean, like, they don't make it easy for small businesses there either.
Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, and Ben Shapiro are all leaving California.
Roll back some of the regulations and stuff on that too. Like, I mean, especially in the marijuana industry, that's basically theft.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, it's all theft, but this is like blatant. They tax you like 3 times and shit like that. Like, I don't understand how people make a profit. And the truth is, a lot of times they don't. They just start and then lose their business because of the state.
Exactly. Yeah, and like I was saying, these vape companies that are producing a certain amount of revenue for the state will now be leaving the state come January 1st once this ban on vape juice and flavored tobacco products takes place. That's also going to put all of those people that worked for those companies out of work. My wife, her father, my father-in-law, he actually had his own company, a small business selling vape juices, and he's left the state and went to Nevada. So it's muscling out all of those smaller businesses, all of those companies that employ faculties of a few hundred or more, or even just a few dozen. But again, they're the ones creating jobs. Government doesn't create jobs. People are under the false understanding or misconception that government can just come in and say, I want to create a job. No, you cannot. The private sector creates the job. So we want to make sure they have every opportunity to expand, to grow and create those jobs for those in need. And government could definitely take their hands out of their pocket, make it easier for those businesses to prosper and grow. That's exactly what I'll be doing, is creating a better, friendlier business market so they can stick around, stop taxing them so damn high. But because I'm not big time and have millions of dollars, Joe Rogan could give a fuck about me. But I bet you if I hit that dollar mark on donations, he'll have me on the show like yesterday. And if he actually heard me out, he probably want to stick around, get me elected in office, because he'd be having a better experience here as a resident in California. So is Shapiro, so is Elon Musk, so with Charlie's Chalk Dust, and my stepfather or father-in-law and everybody else, that are abandoning the state because the cost of living is just too damn high.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious as to like what is your number one issue? Like what is the thing that really keeps you up awake at night trying to fight and combat? What really got you to this point where you're we'll say libertarian for the sake of argument here?
Money. Let's just be straight up.
Elaborate on that one. I get it, but
when we talk about equality, I don't need for the Governor Newsom to implement affirmative action. He just passed a new law making it to where every corporation has to have at least one person of color on their board. How does that benefit me? It doesn't, But what would benefit me is if he cut all these damn taxes that I have to pay, make the cost of living more affordable. That way, the money that I'm actually making from my employer, the one who pays my bills by giving me a paycheck, is I have more buying power. Right. And like I said, the one thing that really motivated me to get involved in the liberty movement was hearing Dr. Ron Paul speak. And when he started speaking about ending the Fed, I didn't even know what the Federal Reserve was. I didn't know how it related to money or inflation of our dollar. But I always thought, why did a cup of coffee cost only 10 cents back in the 50s and 60s? Now the shit's $2-3 depending on where you go. The coffee didn't change. The price of the coffee did. And what created that inflation was a devaluation of our currency. So I would like to create a currency for the state of California, cryptocurrency, where it's actually independent, owned by we the people, and possibly could surpass the buying power of the dollar. And I would like to also open up the state. It's financial institutions. I want to create a People's Bank of California so we can have people banking in cryptocurrency. We can have our marijuana shops, our cannabis industry be able to do legal banking since they are legal businesses. I want to allow those entities to be able to do business as they should, as professionals, instead of having to keep it in the black market. I mean, they're pretty much a cash only business. And with the governor now making it to where certain shops are shut down due to this lockdown. I live in Fresno. There is no brick and mortar pot shop in Fresno. You can only receive it by delivery. But if you go to Los Angeles, some of those shops are still around, and that's only because they obtained a license from the state to do so. That needs to change. That way, again, those businesses can have an opportunity to grow and expand, and we, the people, the consumer, aren't given an opportunity or, aren't having our opportunities to buy whatever we want taken away from us. So I would definitely do all that I can here in the state to make the buying power much greater than what it is now. First and foremost, by eliminating taxes. So on day one, I will be suspending any and all taxes in the state. That way, again, we can at least start getting our economy to become more stronger, since it is suffering right now. And in doing so, I would also get started on auditing the state. That way we can find out where our tax dollars have been going this entire time. Gavin Newsom has a winery called Plumpjack Winery that received a six-figure loan. This is a taxpayer-backed loan, PPP loan, Paycheck Protection Program loan. And his company, a multi-million-dollar winery, got approved for this taxpayer-backed loan, which is forgiven. Small businesses have went out of business because they can't even get those types of loans. Why the hell did he qualify? So yes, I'll be performing a independent audit, which will be by accountants and financial advisors and economists independently outside of the state, state employees office, state auditor's office. And it will be completely transparent. People will be able to go in online, find out up-to-minute updates on what's going on, and see where their money has been going. But if we end up finding out that the majority of that money has been squandered and mismanaged, like I believe, then we'll definitely, again, keep that suspension on taxes going until we figure out what's what.
Right. Well, what do I heard you brought up the crypto thing, and I know that several people out there just read their freaking heads off when they think about the state getting involved in crypto, and they're concerned about the state trying to go full digital and take more control over the currency. What would you say to somebody like that, who heard what you had just said and then just started reading their head about like how we shouldn't let the government into the crypto business and stuff?
Well, they're thinking of government as it exists now. They're not thinking of a libertarian government where, again, our goal is to minimize our involvement in the process altogether. I'm going to...
It's exactly what cryptocurrency would do.
What's that?
I mean, it's inevitable. Like, you can't have a cryptocurrency that is regulated, at least as far as like the official definition of it. Like the moment you do that and say, hey, California has
change the definition
its
of
own
regulation.
crypto dollar, like that's it. It's hands off. It's you can't trace it at that point unless there's a new technology that comes out that allows you to do that.
Right. And there are countries that have their own cryptocurrency. China is developing a cryptocurrency right now.
Of course they are, clever bastards.
And certain countries, oil-rich countries, I believe like Paraguay, actually have their own cryptocurrency. And
I didn't even know they had computers.
Well, they do. And their government is smart enough to say, hey, instead of us using the American dollar, the petrodollar, to sell our oil, let's use this cryptocurrency and we get to keep.
Yeah, I read about that. That was freaking everybody out too, because they're like, look, the globalists are trying to get rid of dollar bills everywhere. And I'm like, kind of wondering why everybody cares about dollar bills since they're basically backed on fairy dust and dreams and hopes.
Well, it's actually an interesting point that he says that it's, the petrodollar essentially. Like our previous guest, I believe, actually dived into this a little bit, where he mentioned that if you look at the dollar value compared to the oil value, it's linked together. You can see the U.S. value and the oil values dipping with each other.
Exactly. And California is, I would say, I don't know where we are now, but used to be the 5th, 6th largest economy in the world. And that's because we're a major producer of not only oil, since we have our own oil reserves, but we provide half of the nation's fruit and vegetables, produce here in California. We also have manufacturing facilities. You have technology companies. You have the entertainment industry. You have all of these industries that create the wealth here in California. And there again, people. We want to allow the people of California to own the power of that cryptocurrency. That will be its only development and its only purpose, is to make sure that the people of California are able to use that to empower themselves and buy whatever they can or whatever they choose with it. But it would essentially probably overtake the dollar, which, like my man up there said, is a pretty much an IOU. It says on the dollar that these bills are used for debt purposes only. It isn't backed by gold. It isn't backed by silver. It isn't backed by anything tangible that's worth value other than you working. That's why it's called a service-based economy. You must work in order for the economy to work. We want to change that. I want to create a resource-based economy where we have an economy that's based on the resources that we have already and are utilizing to build our wealth. And that's where that Cali crypto will come into play.
So I just wanted to quickly say here, that's kind of where like an appreciation for history really comes in. Like I feel like the whole like people freaking out about the value of the dollar and everything and like potentially changing it over to a cryptocurrency has to do with a lack of understanding of history. Like the way that we do banking and money now has only existed since roughly the 1600s, unless you count the Chinese. Ever since then, it's been completely different. We've had thousands of different methods of doing banking and monetary systems. Like it's normal for these things to change. The fact that it's lasted as long as it has it's unnatural. Really, yeah, it's unnatural. It's a miracle, and it's deliberate though, all at the same time. The United States purposely did this after World War I and World War II. Both presidents literally have said that they were pumping the U.S. dollar into all the countries damaged by all these things to make it to where it was the de facto currency of these countries, because then they would have to be reliant on the U.S. They can't, default on loans or anything like that, because this is like it's the only currency. This is the only way to do it. And
yeah, even during
that's why they don't like the crypto, though.
Yeah, even after the Great Depression, when the American dollar supposedly went belly up, you still had people buying other products in different currencies. There were hundreds of currencies being circulated at that time. You even had the greenback that was still being circulated to try to get a greenback now, Yeah. I make sure that I buy precious metals and I buy those notes that are actually backed by silver and gold. That way I have something of value worth more than the dollar that I have in my pocket, which pretty much is valueless. So you're right. It's a matter of us looking at history and seeing that, hey, this isn't the way that things have always existed. The Federal Reserve Act, which was signed into law around the 30s, what about then? Why was the Roaring 20s so powerful? Why was everybody so wealthy during the 20s, 10 years before the Federal Reserve Act? Well, that's because, again, you didn't have any central banking system. And that's what's happening now. The central banks want to keep the countries of the world under their authority, under their ruling authority by controlling our monetary system. So I want to get away from the Federal Reserve System, and I will do that in the state of California once I'm elected.
God, wouldn't that be nice?
So I'm really curious on, well, one, I've got a couple of different like smaller questions, I guess, but who is your favorite president?
That's a good question.
And why?
Mine would have to be Madison.
Madison, okay. I'm elaborate on that. I'd love to hear about that.
Well, I know
don't get that one much.
Every president pretty much has been blamed for their faults, and yeah, Thomas Jefferson and George Washington had slaves, and these are men that had faults, had ways, and wanted to see a better way for the next generation. And Madison did everything that he can to kill the central banking system, so much so to where he did, and on his deathbed, they said, "What are your last words?" And he said, "I killed the banks."
Yeah, isn't that actually on his tombstone?
Yes, exactly.
That's actually on his tombstone, yeah.
That's why I'm a big fan of like Andrew Jackson and stuff like that. Like a lot of people associate him with the dictatorial powers, and don't get me wrong, he definitely had like a little bit of a dictator complex. Like he reminds me of a
little trigger happy too.
Yeah, he reminds me of like an old school Donald Trump. Like as far as his personality and readings go and stuff like that, but he was super anti-central bank system. That was his entire time as president, was just fighting that central bank.
Exactly.
Personally speaking, my favorite president is Calvin Coolidge because he did jack shit.
Because he did
And
nothing.
I love that man. He is like, I really think we need to do more research on him because I swear to God, that man was a libertarian before libertarians were a thing. There's so many things where he's just like, I just need to leave things alone and it'll fix itself.
Exactly.
Thank you.
What are you gonna do? And he's like, I'm gonna touch nothing.
I think I'm gonna do, this puzzle over here. It's fine. It's cool.
Right. I'm not sure who the president was during the 20s, but that's what happened after World War I. We had a Great Depression. It was called the Forgotten Depression, and we were able to bounce back in a year. And the reason why we did was because government cut all taxes. They cut all fees, regulatory fees and licenses and all of that shit. And they let people work, do what they do best, generate the wealth of this country.
Just to point out, Calvin Coolidge was 23 to 29.
All right.
Libertarian does work. Yeah.
Said I do it. Shit. I'm gonna cut these taxes, let y'all get back to work, and smoke this blunt.
Hell yeah. Oh my God. Okay, here's a big one. Since like y'all are on fire all the time, what would, as governor, you do about that? Would you surely you wouldn't just leave that alone? Because
no.
I drove through there. I drove through there when there was a fire, and there was like fires from top to bottom basically, and we were basically driving in front of the fire. And I remember looking at all of the forest lands and everything and being really confused because like it's been a while since I've been there and I didn't spend a lot of time in Northern California or anything like that, so I hadn't really paid much attention to it, but that place is messy.
Yes.
And I know that some people are like, it's a cop-out to say you got to clean your forest floor, but like we have controlled burns in Texas and people actually have to clean their fields out because it's a hazard. And I'm not cool with like extra regulations or anything like that. I feel like as neighbors we should be like, clean your fucking lawn, man, or something like that, but like what I mean, do you think that it's been negligence? Do you think it's been just idiocy that's caused it, or what would you do?
Of the above.
A little bit of all these columns.
Yeah, I mean, like you just said, you guys do controlled burns in Texas. Why are we doing that out here in California? That's because we got a governor that's pretending to be an environmentalist and care about the environment. He could care less, and that's why these fires have happened.
Yeah, all these forest fires are way worse for the environment than it would be to burn some selected squares of land and shit like that to avoid fires.
Yeah, not to mention there's loggers and people of the community that actually want to go into these forests and clean up do some land clearing of the forest, but they're told they're unable to do so. Why? Because they can actually make money off of that dead wood. They can turn it into wood chips. They can turn it into sawdust. They can turn around and generate an income off of that, which the government doesn't like. They don't like people being able to make money out of nothing. So instead of allowing this land clearing like Native Americans have done for so long in this country, Indian tribes, we could get back to those type of traditions. I also would be banning companies like PG&E, which just been found to be responsible for the Zog fire, and I also have SoCal Edison, who is responsible for the Bobcat fire. These are fires that have burned tens of thousands of acres out here in the state of California. PG&E in particular was found guilty of manslaughter here in the state, but yet they're still in operation. There has been no criminal charges. They got a fine, a slap on the wrist, and they're back in business and having equipment explode and malfunction, which is causing these fires as well. But yet you have a governor that turned around on TV and blamed it all on climate control.
Climate change. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And or climate change. And the reason being is because he wants to tax us more for emissions, which is why he imposed a ban on gas-powered vehicles in the state by 2035. You'll only be able to buy electric vehicles and sell electric vehicles in the state of California, which isn't reliable either because we have rolling blackouts. We don't even have.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I was like, you guys don't even have enough power to fucking provide for your homes. How are you going to provide for all these extra cars? And also, like, we're still producing large amounts of freaking power from coal and oil. Yeah. And that's horrible for the environment. And they want to fucking use that to make the electricity to run their fucking cars. It's like fucking paper straws in plastic containers instead of plastic straws in paper containers. Like, what is fucking, I have to ask you, because me and Paxton are really big on the environment and stuff like that. What do you think about it? Oh, wait, here you go.
Before that, I just want to chime in because I want to remind everybody of this every single time. It's so much worse than that. Like the things that we're currently experiencing is the environmental damage almost 20 years back. We're not experiencing the current environmental damages of the 90s, the 2010s, stuff. Shit, is the 90s are almost 30 years back. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, I'm getting old.
Talking about it.
I don't want to hear that. Ozone layer, and they told us to stop using aerosol sprays, and at first we were told that we were going to have a cooling period, and the world was going to freeze over. Now it's too hot.
Now it's global warming.
But the whole deal with that is, and this is probably the number one thing I love about the Libertarian Party as a collective whole. At least the vast majority, they seem to agree that nuclear energy is the solution for everything. The problem with that, while I agree nuclear energy is definitely the solution, it was the solution 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. Like we're at a point to where at this point the only thing we can do is damage control, and that's what I really want to start stressing to each other, to people, is that there is no amount of wind turbines or solar panels that will fix the fucking messes that we're going to do. Right. You can do that.
They come with their own problems still because we haven't perfected them.
There is that. But even if we started building nuclear powers today, we're still going to be facing the next 20 years. Like, imagine the 2000s, whenever we really weren't like, this is before like Al Gore was really a fucking big thing and on South Park. This is a time where like China was becoming a superpower, Russia's economy was becoming a superpower, Africa's starting to modernize, South America's starting to modernize. Everywhere is super greenhouse gas emissions. And we've yet to really face the consequences of that. Nuclear energy is great, and we need to do it like tomorrow. If we started doing it today, there's a small chance that we'll survive as a species. That's the fucking thing. I mean, I think we'll survive just because humans tend to be very
adaptive.
We're very adaptive, and we're very we're like cockroaches. We're able to find the worst situations and make the best.
You only wish we'd go away.
Exactly. We're a plague.
With nuclear power, it's still using ancient technology. I'm a futuristic type of person. I looked into thorium.
Thorium.
We can do a thorium plant, you know?
Yeah, like, what is it that they're using where they put the posts down in the ground and they're using the heat from the earth to create energy, or thermal something?
That just sounds like giant alien.
I don't know what it's called, but it looks futuristic to me, and I want to learn more about it. It seems really interesting.
There's plenty of things we can do, but it's the whole thing is the alarm bells on environmental damage is like way late. The things that they're trying to do is not severe and radical enough to really reverse anything. If anything, it's going to cause more problems later down the line. And if we do end up surviving that type of situation where it's just, hurricanes and tornadoes every single state, it's going to. We're basically, what I'm getting at is that we're going to survive by the very skin of our teeth in this situation. We fucked up the environment so severely. It's going to get much, much worse in the next 20 years, I believe.
So what I was going to ask about this is, how do you feel? What do you think? Do you think global warming? Do you think that this is crazy? Do you think that they're overreacting? Do you think that there's no problem? What do you think about all this? And what do you think that we should be doing in the future with our environmental issues?
Well, I definitely think it's an overreaction, and that's more so to impose restrictions on our freedoms, especially to impose more taxes as well because of that. I mean, emissions out here in California being taxed more because of that. You have carbon taxes. They're finding more ways to tax us based on pollutants. Now, China, a country where, you know, it's so thick and smog, you can barely see your hand in front of your face. I understand why you would want to impose some restrictions on pollutions there. But here in the state of California right now, the air is actually much more cleaner than it used to be about 10, 20 years ago. So as far as our environment being cleansed, there's better ways that we can do it. We just have to be more responsible. And I think it takes a leader that are a certain amount of leaders to go out there and speak openly about ways that we, the people, can change our impact on our environment. I hate people that litter. I kid you not. I hate it with a passion.
Me too. I like to go clean up trash, to be honest.
What the fuck are you doing? Just driving down the street and you throw out some chips or soda, or you know,
it makes me want to slap somebody. I'm not gonna lie.
Ridiculous. Clean up. And the trash is ridiculous. That definitely adds to the blight in any neighborhood. We definitely don't want to see that. But as far as having an environmental impact on animals, you know, when you're polluting in the ocean and you're polluting in certain neighborhoods and communities like, you know, Yosemite and other places where it's a national treasure, you know, we should be making sure that our forests stay as clean as possible. I went up to Yosemite and Big Bear and Tahoe, and I saw trash and litter everywhere, you know, and as much as we want to make sure that we're keeping Tahoe clean or Fresno clean or LA clean or all of these cities, we have to take that initiative upon ourselves to go out and keep our communities clean. As far as environmental impact and keeping our skies clear, I would reduce the amount of geoengineering that they're doing here in the state of California. I can't tell you how many times I've looked up in the sky and have seen chemtrails, tic-tac-toe patterns in the sky. Why are you doing that? Who sanctioned that? Who gave the approval? I know I didn't. I don't want the sky to be polluted with aluminum and barium and all of these other toxins, but yet they're doing that. The land clearing in forests, that would be another impact on it as well. Our oceans out here in California, they can be desalinized to provide water to the drought areas. I actually spoke with a man named Moses West of the Moses West Foundation, and he has a machine that can create water out of thin air. I would have those machines all throughout the central area, places where there are droughts, places where they're unable to get water from the ocean, since they want to build tunnels like the Delta tunnels, which will run all the way from the ocean through these forests, and pretty much just destroy wildlife just to get water. There's a better way. So I think the focus needs to be made on that more than anything. And as far as fossil fuels and their impact, I believe there needs to be more study. But when it comes to oil, I don't think we should be pulling that out of the earth. If you as a person were steadily having the blood in your body or the plasma in your body drained, you would be dead. Same thing is happening to our planet, and it's going to react. It's a living entity. It's a living creature. We live on it, and we need it to live or we die. Yeah. That's simple. So we should be taking care of our planet to make sure it lives as long as possible. That way we can live as long as we'd like, and, you know, our children and our children's children, etc. You know, there isn't any reason why we should be putting an expiration date on our planet simply because humans can't control themselves.
So I'm really curious as to what you think of the boog and things of that nature. Like, do you think a civil war is coming, a revolution is coming?
That's a good question. Boog Boys seem to be good to me. They are anti-state. That's why I'm okay with them. Proud Boys, I've met them also. They are anti-state, but they are back to blue, thin blue line fellas. So that's where they kind of lose me, is because you're still friends with the people that are causing tyranny and will impose tyranny upon free people.
I mean,
So,
believe me, I just drove through Texas and I saw so many "Don't tread on me" and blue thin line stickers on lifted trucks. I can't. My eyes
I
hurt.
don't think they realize the contradictory ways of their doings. But as far as the Proud Boys is concerned, I mean, if they were to take their focus off of Antifa and put it on the state, now we're on the same team. I really am supportive of a revolution than a civil war. I think if we could all come together and unite and unify under, again, wanting to get rid ourselves of the state and the impositions that the state has had on us, then we would see a revolution overnight. It's sad that we see countries like Germany and France and all these other countries actually rebelling against their government simply because of this lockdown, yet Americans are slow to get on that boat. And I've been involved in a recall protest here in California. I've been shamed for it because it's been looked at as being a right-wing thing, opposed to I want to get to work and take care of myself thing, and live free thing. So if more people on the Black Lives Matter side, I as much as I'm supportive of the message, I do not support the global foundation, which gets tens of millions of dollars and does nothing with that to help
movement versus
communities
organization, right?
Yeah, exactly. And of course, it's a movement that's been used as an instrument by people like George Soros to destabilize certain communities so they can come in and buy up those neighborhoods, gentrify them, and end up Xing out those people that can't afford to live there. We're seeing that.
Out of curiosity, like, we covered like a little bit of what you thought about like the Boog and the Proud Boys and stuff like that. Do you think Antifa is a real group? Like,
no, hell no. I met Antifa.
Yeah, like I know people who call themselves Antifa, but as a group, I think it's ridiculous to think it's an actual organized group. Yeah.
It is not. I don't know where they get this insane idea.
Well, I look at people on the right and they're willing to take the media spin. They're willing to be like, because the media takes the worst of the Proud Boys, the worst of Antifa, the worst of the Boog, everything they can, and they put the worst of it in our faces and they flash it again and again and again and again, and they never show us anything that they're doing outside. And with the Antifa stuff and the Boog shit, half the time they can't even fucking tell us how they know they're connected to these groups.
Right. Like, when at the end of the day, the media is pro-state.
Oh yeah.
They don't give a shit what you're talking about. All they give a shit, like, they don't care what your economic philosophy is. They don't care about any of that. They don't care who your leaders are. They care about if you're anti-state or pro-state. And what they're saying is Antifa is supposedly anti-state.
Technically,
the Boog Boys anti-state.
Not true, though.
Well, they're anti-state currently.
Some of them are, and some of them are not.
Yeah, the whole
like,
deal.
It just depends.
I mean, listing them as a terrorist organization, that was a terrible idea.
That's ridiculous, because like some Antifa people are like groups of people trying to like pick up trash together and be activists together, and some
it's like I was telling you the other day, like they are training military personnel, like specifically the National Guard. Whenever they're sending out onto these National Guard into these riot cities, they're training them that Boogaloo Boys are terrorist people, even though we've seen time after time after time that they're going in there to provide first aid, to be part of the protesters and make sure that nobody gets arrested for anything that's, unjust. They're there to civilly disobey up until the point that arms are drawn on them.
People
they're going to
from
protect
anyone.
themselves. And that's how it should be done.
Yeah,
it's sad to me that a lot of people are disillusioned by what the media says, and you're right, they are pretty much sensationalizing these situations to pit us against each other. Antifa means anti-fascist, a fascist. So if you aren't anti-fascist, what are you? You're a fascist, you know?
I mean, even if people say it only means like aggressively anti-fascist, well, I mean, I'm aggressively anti-fascist. Hi.
Right.
Like, I'm pretty sure everyone in here is aggressively anti-fascist.
The entire boog is anti-fascist.
Exactly. And
but we have people on the left looking at the media and buying that the boog is, you know, white supremacist and alt-right and white and all this other shit. And we have people
backing the
on the right
Association
and people in the boog and stuff buying the fact that the media is buying exactly what the media is telling us about the fucking Antifa and stuff like that. They are buying into the boogeyman. Right. And like what I realize is like a lot of times we're all like, I go to all these different protests. I go to anti-police brutality shit. I go to anti-masker shit. I go to all these things. And I realize that these people, they're all protesting gross overreach by the state. And if they could come together and do it, they would be a force to be fucking reckoned with. Right. But they will not do it because they're terrified of each other, because they have drank the Kool-Aid. No matter how much us Liberty people want to tell everybody that we're too fucking smart for that, we are drinking that Kool-Aid every goddamn day in large quantities.
Yeah.
And saying we're not. Just bad, like the left and the right. It's pretty bad.
You're right.
I mean, I hate to be that way, but
I'm with you. I've been out there and I've joined in pretty much every faction of a protest and have done my best to kind of marry the groups. And I've been shamed for it. I've been called names. I've been assaulted verbally, all sorts of things, even physically.
Oh, yeah.
So it's sad that we can't come to the table to say, this is where I agree, this is where I agree, this is where I agree, and it all points at the state, then, you know, that's really what's going to keep us divided and separated. But until we come to that realization, and like you said, even those involved in the liberty movement, if you're still feeding into that narrative, that controlled narrative by the establishment, then you aren't helping the movement. You are helping we the people at all. You're setting us back. I've met libertarians that are voting for Trump.
Yeah, that just kills me. I don't know what to even say about that. I'm like, are you nuts? There are ANCAPs out there that are gonna vote for Trump.
Oh my God.
I can't even understand why they're voting to begin with, first off. Second off, like, they're voting for fucking Trump? Are you insane? Yeah. And their answers come back like Kool-Aid answers, even though they're ANCAPs, you know? Yeah.
And they're brainwashed.
And the ANCOMs will say that, like, I have friends who are ANCOMs too. Like, the real ones that are like, I'm anti-force, I'm not going to force you to do anything. I'm not, you know, but like, they believe that there should be a stateless. But anyways, like, I'm not going to get into ANCOMs, but like, they themselves, they do it too. It's exactly the same on both sides. And like,
just to build on that, we had just the other night, we had a quote unquote ANCOM that was on our show. I don't like 98% of what they have to say.
Ambiguously,
I don't give a shit. Anarchist. As far as I'm concerned, he's a goddamn communist. But the one thing we do agree on is that he's anti-state, and that's really the only thing I give a shit about this point. We can take care of the corruption.
You walked in the room and go, "All cops are bastards." And the whole table went, "Yes."
Yes. And once we get rid of the status quo, what we currently have, then we can have an argument about economics. But until then, I don't give a shit.
Right now it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant, and it never will be while we're continuing to fight each other. And to be honest, if we are all anti-state and not about controlling each other, once we get rid of those who wish to control us, what will there be to be arguing about?
Exactly.
Nothing. Because we'll leave each other the fuck alone.
And that's where we want to get. And that's what I'm proposing to do once I'm elected, is just to get us back on the straight and narrow, get rid of all the separatist type of vices, and policies that have been put in place by the establishment, and they need to go. And I believe once they're plucked out of our society, we'll see we have much more in common than we think. We need to get back to the basics of who we are as human beings. We should be loving and caring for each other. We are social beings. So for us to be told to stay away from each other, to socially distance ourselves, to wear muzzles, and masks in order to prevent us from being seen. I feel stupid sometimes wearing a mask, and I see a kid and I smile. And I'm like, I'm smiling and nobody can see me, So it's like, but just that simple gesture goes a long way. And I don't think people are really
locking us away from a lot of shit we don't. Yeah, they're taking away extra bits of humanity from each other, and I don't think people notice that. It's a subtle thing.
Well, they want to make us all subservient to becoming virtual, interacting and engaging with each other virtually. Sit behind your computers, sit behind your TV screen, stay at home. That's where you're going to be living from now on. And the more we get conditioned to that type of life as adults, our kids are going to see that. It's going to be much easier for them to start embracing that and live that type of a life. And then the next generation and the next and the next. Next thing you know, everybody's living in a damn cubicle and nobody's engaging with each other. And I see that as being a great possibility if we don't do something or say something now. We must come together in order to do that. I can only do so much on my own. At times I feel like a lone wolf, because as much as I'm bellowing out about all of these things and I have so many people in agreement, I'm like, okay, so now let's do the first part of activism. Act.
Whoa. Let's not get too extreme.
Right.
Oh, wait, you want people to do things? What?
Right. Oh, no. I just wanted
to...
We just got reported. This guy's fucking telling people to act on things.
This video may get banned also. I just recently did an interview that was banned from YouTube. My first video. And I think that's because I was telling people in the interview, this damn coronavirus hoax, this pandemic panic is a farce. It has a 99% survival rate. Now I'm going to say it here on this video again. So let's see if they ban this one. But 99% survival rate, people. You're not going to die. I just saw, what's that show? It's called Utopia on Prime, Amazon Prime.
Oh.
You guys gotta check out this fucking show, man. It's just mind-blowing.
It's a good show, actually. Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. But it just speaks so much on what's happening right now, and it kind of reads between the lines of, I guess, the conspiracies that we've been hearing floating around. But
I gotta ask, did it make you chuckle when you saw that fucking they put a disclaimer on it?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. This disclaimer is like, this is not about a real pandemic. This is about a fake pandemic. Please don't make any connections. We promise. No. And I was just like,
the zombie apocalypse outside, and we were watching The Walking Dead.
Oh God!
No way it has to do with the zombies outside your door. Just focus on this. It's all for entertainment.
Don't look at the man behind the curtain.
Yeah, but I mean, what makes people think that our government would not want to sterilize us as human beings and, kickstart this depopulation agenda to stabilize, and have stable economies, stable communities, and whatever the case may be. It's sickening and it's sad. ICE right now. You can look it up, people out there. They have been performing hysterectomies on immigrants. These supposedly illegal immigrants that are in detention centers. They are performing hysterectomies on these women.
And these are not given consent for this shit either.
Exactly.
This is not consensual.
No. And they're
And this is not a conspiracy either. It's actually been in the news, but they don't fucking flash it like they do the stuff they want you to notice. They just put it on the bottom of the page and let it slide by.
Right, precisely. And it's sad that, again, people aren't paying attention to these subtleties that are facts in our news today. But, you know, when it comes to entertainment, it goes over their heads. But if you connect the dots, see what's really going on, we have a lot to be angry about as citizens. We have a lot to be motivated to go out there and fight against this system. It does not like us. It does not care about us. And at some point, they're going to see us as being non-essential.
I want to know, this is, you know, perhaps an extreme question, but I'm kind of just, what hill are you willing to die on? Where do you draw your line? Like, what do you have a police officer engage you on where you're willing to put up a fight on it?
Physically harming me. At that point,
that's good. I love that. It's good.
You lay your hands on me, which they have before. I can take it. But you go to fuck around and try to kill me.
Fuck around and find out, right?
Yeah, exactly. Fuck around and find out. I don't give a damn if I got cuffs on or whatever the case may be. We about to go for, go for the gold. And if I'm put in a life or death situation with a police officer, it's going to be them.
My God, I love that so
home
much.
To my son.
Oh my God. Have you talked to Maj Toure yet?
No, me and Miles don't fuck around like that.
Oh man, we gotta get you two hooked up together. I love that so much. You basically just quoted the man.
You did.
I'll tell you this. There's a lot of people that's involved in this liberty movement for the wrong things. And unfortunately, as well-intentioned as they may seem, if you look behind them, look beyond the veil, you'll see more. And I met Maj in person wearing this shirt right here. You can look it up on my YouTube channel. I got pictures with the man, etc. I met him when he came out here in California. And I wanted to form a partnership to say, hey, I want to go into these inner cities. I want to go into the community, any community, and I want to talk about Black Guns Matter. Mm-hmm. Will you help me with that? And he said yes. Face to face, he said yes. But then I went to contact him, and it was a whole nother story. And I'm not in this to make money. I'm not in this to sell shirts, okay? Right. Some people are. So as much as I like Maj and what he's doing, that's where the separation and
no, I get that.
Well, I know he's really busy and shit like that. He is a handful to get a hold of.
No, he ain't.
Okay, well, he has been.
To me, if you can,
I get what you're saying.
Your number, I can call you. Then you're not hard to get in touch with. And if he tells me I'm up pretty much all hours of the night, you can call me. I can call him and I can text him. If I can do it when I'm mad at you and you respond, then I should be able to connect with you when I want to do business with you. And when I made that attempt, I got slapped down. But then when I was pissed and I said, fuck you, Maj, I want to beat your ass, then he responded. So that's where I am with this. This is not a game. You see what I'm saying? This is real, real, real. And I'm not in this to make money. I'm not in this to be famous. I'm not in this to be on Fox News and CNN and all of this shit. I'm not in this just to do this, okay?
Yeah.
You get one more chance for me to elect me governor, and then fuck you, I'm up out of here. Because like I said, I got to make sure that my family is taken care of. I got to make sure that I'm still living so my son, 10 years from now, is able to pick up where I left off. I'm not going to spend another 10, 20 years running for office unsuccessfully. You need to get me elected so I can prove to the people why we need better leadership, why we need someone that's of the people, by the people, and for the people, representing the people.
So explain that to me. Why do you think it is that people are voting for these fucking people that are lawyers and shit like that rather than one of their own? I mean, you're
Yeah.
someone that's lived in California for so fucking long. I mean, you seem like a person. When you talk to these governors and shit, they don't seem like people. They seem like they're reading off a script to you, that they're reading their campaign slogans to you.
They are. They're disillusioned. The majority of people are disillusioned. And for some reason, they have it warped in their head that they should be idolizing these people. They would rather vote for somebody that they never met before, opposed to me, where I'm out there on the streets, boots on the ground, face-to-face kind of guy. Shake my hand, I'll shake yours, I'll hug you if you want, if you'll allow me to. And they'll turn around and they'll vote for a guy that they've seen on TV that seems like that they're more inclined to be put in that position opposed to a regular person. I've been told that before, that you seem too regular to win.
To win.
Yeah, you're just too much of a average person to where.
Well, that's such a cop out though, because so many people voted for Trump because they thought he wasn't a politician.
No, but Trump has superstar status. He was the
And a millionaire.
Yeah, and a fake millionaire. He pretended millionaire. You know, if I'm able to borrow $100 million, that don't make me a millionaire. That just makes me someone privileged enough to obtain that amount of debt and use it for my own personal gain. That's what Trump has done. He's not rich. He's a image of richness. And that's what people bought into, was that image that he's a successful businessman, not knowing that his casinos went bankrupt to the tune of billions of dollars. Just not paying attention to that, not paying attention to him being a shitty business manager to where people left his company and sued him because of it. His schools went defunct. His state company went defunct. He had all of these business ventures that pretty much went nowhere, but because he was a person of privilege and someone that was put in a position to make it seem like we should be supportive of him, he's established, he's credible, then we should be supportive of them. I saw right through him when he ran for president the first time and lost. So it's unfortunate that, again, people would rather support the people that they see that are propped up on a higher pedestal opposed to the one that they see right face to face.
Well, see, I mean, that's kind of where we stand. I mean, I don't necessarily know exactly, you know, like you said, you don't necessarily attribute yourself to labels and stuff, but where Mike and I stand, like, we're straight up anarchists. Like, I don't believe in voting because I don't think people will vote for the proper thing. I think they're so brainwashed, they're going to keep voting for the people on the pedestals. I don't think there's a way of voting ourselves out of the shitty situation that we're currently in. I think the boog is the best.
The narrative.
I think the boog is the only thing that we possibly have. I think the only thing we can do at this point, I think a civil war is inevitable, and I think the only thing we can do is change that civil war into a revolution.
Yeah, but how do we turn that civil war into a revolutionary war sooner than later? I don't want to go 5,
we
10
have to
years
break the narrative and bring the people together.
No. 100% agree with you. I don't want my kids fighting this fucking war. If anyone has to die, I want to fucking die on this shit. This is my hill to die on. This is Mike's hill to die on. This is your hill to die on, as far as I'm concerned. I don't want my kids to fucking worry about this. I want my kids to live in fucking freedom and not have to worry about the goddamn sales tax rate.
Exactly.
How we do that, at least in my mind, and I think we're doing that right here and in previous shows, is we get other people of other ideologies and show them what the boog is, what Antifa is. We have to put the faces to it. Whenever we can take the small groups and mix them with other small groups of the different ideologies and everything, and show them that at the end of the day, the economics don't matter. What matters is that we both say fuck the police, fuck the state, fuck the governors, fuck the taxes. As long as we can agree on that, then we can fight shoulder to shoulder in the goddamn trenches against the bootlicking motherfuckers that are going to come after us.
Yeah, we have a friend, Jay. He has this little thing that he says about the train to liberty. Like, we're all on the train to liberty, and we're all going to get off at different places, but we are a long way off from any of us getting off that train right now. Even
You're right.
the, like even the dim socks can't get off that fucking train right now. And some
That's
people
right.
out there, when I tell them about it, go, "Well, we haven't even left the station yet, motherfucker." And
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, well, if we don't leave the station soon, we're not gonna.
you're right about that. My whole thing is I want to avoid any type of violent revolution. I think it can be civilly. And that's
I
why
would rather it not be violent, but
I mean, I'm an anarchist at heart. I'm an anarcho-libertarian, and my goal is to demolish the state. I mean, I will be disbanding left and right simply because of that. But again, my goal is to do so in a peaceful manner, in a civil manner. I think by exercising our right to vote, we are able to do exactly that. If we had all of the ANCAPs out there voting libertarian, we would win. If we had all of the people that don't want to vote, don't think that voting is worth it, vote libertarian, we would win. And that if we have that power shift and we do it with our voting power, then we don't have to do it with gun power.
well,
I would like that. I would like to see that be a reality, which is why I'm running for office and why I encourage every other person that wants to pretty much overthrow government to run for office.
And do it really fast, because if we don't get a hold of this, I don't think there's gonna be a choice.
I mean,
Because they want us to fight. Our government is, and their media cronies, they're lining us up and preparing us to fight each other, and we need to stop that.
Now, when it comes to last choice and last resort, yeah, absolutely. Then we definitely should be taking that into accordance and making sure that we are doing everything in our power to protect ourselves and each other from these threats, whether they be foreign or domestic. So, but again, if we want to have that revolution come about sooner than later, we got an election in less than 25 days. If we get everybody to vote libertarian, we would have a shift in that power. Fuck Biden, fuck Trump. Now we got somebody else in there that's completely different. Let's see what they can do to change the system that exists. And if they fail at doing so, then we hold them accountable.
I mean, that's where we kind of disagree. And that's kind of what I love about this is if you were any other party, you would be screaming and trying to, death threats to my mother right now. But I mean, that's where we disagree. I think we're too far gone for that. I love Joe. I really do. I like Joe and I like Spike.
I don't think they can do shit.
But I don't think it's going to do anything. They're not on the debates because the whole deal is that there is a two-party system. They're in charge of how all the voting gets done because why the fuck not? And so they're not allowed to be even on the fucking debate stage. Even when Trump says no, Joe Jorgensen's practically on her fucking knees over here trying to get in a debate with Joe Biden for whatever fucking terms possible, just so she can have some TV coverage. It's not going to happen because they know, and they saw this with Ron Paul, and this is kind of where you and I connect on that, because I too connected with Ron Paul back in 2008. When they had Ron Paul on, that's the biggest libertarian movement that we've ever fucking had. Mm-hmm. Because he was actually able to get on there on national fucking television and show them, like, here's the fucking evils, and this is the common sense shit. Rather than sending our soldiers over here and dying for bullshit reasons, let's bring them home if you're so pro-war. Rather than having the fucking drug wars, let's stop that shit and let adults be adults. How does that sound? And the fucking media did not like that shit. And that's exactly what they're showing to Joe Jorgensen. That's why Mike and I fucking started all this shit joining the Libertarian Party. That was like one of our first videos, was joining the Libertarian Party to get Nick Sarwark out of the fucking chair because we hated that motherfucker. And now
I've invited him to come on the show and sit down with us now because I feel like we should be grown-ups and have a discussion.
We've had such a steep decline into anti-statism since that moment because we've worked directly with the Libertarian Party on local levels. Mike is an elected member.
That's one of the things I wanted to ask you is, like, how much help have you had in pushback and stuff like that from the LP itself, because like they focus too heavily on the national and they neglect the people who have
That's
the
what I was
chance
getting
to
at.
actually
Mhm.
take hold of it by the chair legs. And
That's what I was
like,
getting at, is that they focus on the national level.
Zero. That's what I thought. See, like, I hate to be an asshole because I love the libertarians. I absolutely adore you guys. I love the LP. Like, it is the weirdest thing because, like, I really care about my local area and I absolutely love my county. Wow, you guys in Pulaski. But, like,
That's just
hate
because they're
the
armed. You
party.
don't want to talk
I
shit
am
about
so angry. No, I love you, Joe. Joe, I love you. No homo. I mean, maybe a little bit. I can't wait till he sees that.
them. I see your
Anyways,
hair.
like,
You're just a little bit of homo.
just a little bit of homo, just a little bit. If you didn't look so much like a damn Viking. Anyways,
That's hot. Fuck, I'm not even that straight. What do you mean?
I like Pulaski and my home and my county, and I love my state and everything, but I also hate the party so much because it can be so demoralizing trying to get people to do things or trying to get the party to help, like with the campaigns. Now here, like, our party is working. It's like there is a handful of people in our party, like a group of people in our party that are working their ass off to help Ricky get in Senate here against Tom Cotton.
Right.
And that's really cool. And they've got the hype about the national campaign, obviously, here. But like,
But what is the National Party doing to help him get elected? Are they doing anything to help him get more exposure? Are they helping him get the donations that he needs to actually compete? No, they didn't do that.
I don't know for sure, but I don't think so. Like, I'm gonna try and get him on here, and you know I'm gonna ask him. You know I'm gonna ask.
Joe Jorgensen. They don't give a damn about any state candidates, whether it's on the local level or at the state level. They don't really care. I mean, he's in a high-profile race. They're not supporting him at all. And I myself, I ran for governor of California and was not showcased by the National Libertarian Party at all. The only time that they ever said anything about me was when I won the nomination. And the reason why they brought that up was because the state party chose to change their rules and for the first time in history nominate two candidates for governor of California. You want to know why?
Why?
I'll let you guys guess before I drop it. No?
I can't imagine why.
Because the person I was running against for the Libertarian Party endorsement was white.
Oh, fuck. I knew that's exactly what it was. That's what I was afraid of. I didn't want you to say
I don't
it.
even think like that, so I didn't hit my head, but like, holy shit, that's fucking...
So for the first time in California Libertarian Party history ever, they nominated two candidates simply because they could not all back the black guy.
People fucking wonder why people think the Libertarian Party's fucking racist. Jesus Christ Almighty!
I did get a what is it called? A nomination from the endorsement or a nomination from the Libertarian Party that was unanimous, opposed to the other guy was split. But even still, they made motions on the floor during the nomination to endorse us both. And they passed that. And then both of us got endorsed by the Libertarian Party. So when it came to Libertarian party members, and registered libertarians in the state, they turned to the state party to say, well, who should we vote for? And they said, well, we have two candidates for you to vote for. Pick and choose the one that you like. And of course, that fractured the party by splitting up the vote between me and the other guy, opposed to making sure that I got all of those votes. And they didn't do much in their power to help me as a candidate. As far as the people involved, actual members of the party, they did wonderful things. I had people that were made donations.
Yeah, the individuals are amazing.
Yes, absolutely. But the party itself is not structured. It's not organized. And
do you think that's a chair problem, or do you think that's just ingrained into the Libertarian Party?
A little bit of A, a little bit of B. if I was the new chair, I would want things to happen immediately, opposed to where there's people on the board that would probably drag their feet. Fuck an XCOM meeting.
Right? Fuck an XCOM meeting. Holy shit. Can y'all stop voting for shit all the goddamn time? Like, it's okay to make a goddamn decision without having to fucking have a goddamn, a seance about it. Fuck you guys. Make a goddamn decision.
I feel like they market themselves as, quote, something different, but they emulate the other parties too much.
They do, and that's the thing. They're too busy trying to fit into that same...
But we don't have the money to emulate the other parties either, so it just looks sad.
It does, very much so, especially when, again, we're supposed to be the active group of people going out there and saying that we need to come together, everybody, and get rid of our tyrannical government. Case in point, with this recall that we're pushing here in the state of California to get Newsom out of office. Now, the California Libertarian Party backed the recall. Why did they not promote the recall at all? Why did they drag their feet? I'm the chair of Libertarian Party of Fresno County. I had to, on my own, create flyers that I have here. I had these flyers created up to talk about reasons about why people should support the recall. I sent this image to the state party. They said, we'll vote on it at the next meeting, which was about over a month later. So when they said that, I went out, spent $30 of my own money, went out and
made them yourselves.
100 in English, 100 in Spanish, and they're all gone. Now that they voted on it, now they'll release state funds to print up the flyers and shit. But the recall deadline is November 17th. How many people in the state you going to get informed about the recall? Libertarian Party should have stepped out front.
Well, that's what I love about you starting early, because, like, look at this. Even if we wanted to play the national game, we don't get started till right before the fucking elections.
Yeah,
like, nobody knows who the fuck any of these people are. They should have picked this person like a year or two
goddamn libertarian that constantly reads the fucking newsletter and shit. And I don't know who the fuck Joe Jorgensen is. I'm having to do research like today.
But I didn't know who she was, And
real quick, what I want to add is, like, your situation is, like, dead on to exactly what we experienced and why we fucking left, like, actively working. Well, Mike's, like I said, elected measures of the libertarian, and he's basically made it into a small boot group.
I have not.
Hey,
don't say that about them. Don't say that. That's not.
I'll say anything about this. Go out there, infiltrate, co-opt, turn it.
That's what I'm saying. That's the plan. We got to fucking take this shit over. That's what we got to do. But anyway, my fucking point is so the COVID shit had just started, and I had asked, because churches were doing this in Oklahoma. Oklahoma churches were starting to send out newsletters and stuff to all the individual members that they had, just simply asking if they're okay, if they need anything, if they need someone to go out to go get them groceries and stuff.
Yeah,
so
like
I brought to the Libertarian Party.
Stuff.
Yeah, neighborly shit. So I asked the Libertarian, why don't we do that shit? They had to vote on it. Why?
I'm like, I was sitting there. He's
write up handwritten letters and contact these people. Why the private prop? They're a member. They already
gave us their information for contact. Like, I'm like, dude. He was telling me about it, and I'm like, well, by the time they finish fucking voting, if COVID's real, half of these motherfuckers are gonna be dead.
I feel so bad for Jay and Cerise because they're so sweet and nice, and I love them.
I fucking love them, and Kevin too. And
99% of our party is great, but there's always that one who's like, we should vote on it, and that's going to take 3 months.
This isn't in the bylaws. We got
the bylaws. Fuck.
Yes,
like,
that's one thing.
To be fair,
I'm always going to be a liberty activist because that's where I started. But that first part of that word, like I said, activism, act. The libertarian party is slow to act.
You might as well just count yourself as a terrorist. Like, Jesus Christ, having that act word in there. Jesus.
Well, you said the word, now we're going to get popped up on their fucking algorithm or some shit.
Exactly. We already got FBI agents listening to us.
Well,
they said act. Let's not take care of people.
Frederick,
radical.
he said, agitate, 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 agitate. That's what we need to do. Continue to agitate this damn status quo, the system, the establishment. If you don't like it, agitate. Get out there and be as active as you can in agitating this system. So yeah, it's sad but true.
I know we're running long, but I've been wanting to ask you this question because you have a history with like Anonymous and stuff like that. What do you think? Like, we've talked about all these other groups that are supposedly a menace. What do you think about fucking Q?
I think Anonymous got taken over a while back by government factions.
All of them, or just some of it?
Like LulzSec and ClownSec, and there's so many other sects and shit.
Yeah, there's so many sects, yeah.
Yeah. But as far as Anonymous as a whole, that's why we've seen activity slow down tremendously, is because they're not the hybrid group that they used to be. They're no longer the hive. They're now a, I don't even know what to call it, but these QAnons, they basically have taken over the Anonymous movement, and every Anon is supposed to fall in line with the QAnon. I'm not on board with that.
Yeah, like, I went out to a protest at one point and I was wearing an Anonymous mask, and someone was like, "Oh God, are you Antifa?" And I was like, "No, well, I'm not with any group or anything like that." And they were like, "Oh no, they're with us." And I was like, "Who the fuck is that?" And I looked over there and this person turns around and they're holding a Q sign. And I was like, "No,
Right.
no, I am
Don't
not
fight
with
me.
you." You see this? This is for everyone, not just you.
I think that's where, again, they've taken over the messaging, is because now when I wear my Guy Fawkes mask, that's the same thing that I get asked. "Oh, are you a QAnon?" It's like, no, not every person that wears a Guy Fawkes mask and is involved with Anonymous subscribes to the QAnon message and what they're doing. I don't at all.
Yeah,
So
me either. Fuck that shit.
as far as the mask is concerned and Anonymous, it always was a decentralized group. There is no leader. There is no only one way. This is the way, you know? So if I want to create my own path towards freedom, like you said, we're all on the train towards liberty. Hey, if I got a different way of getting in there and I got people that's willing to roll with me, then let's go. But I'm going to lead my train, and because I see the way out of this. And as much as we may disagree on, you know, us having to use violent means to take back our government,
I sure hope we don't have to.
I'm with you there. As hopeful as I am about there being a peaceful way, I do also see the possibility, great possibility, of the violent way. And I do see them both as being an opportunity for us to take back our government.
Yeah.
I just want to build on to that. Like, how common is the discussion of civil war becoming? Like, it's
I
like,
hate that,
people
though.
that
Fuck
aren't
the
even
Civil
political
War.
activists.
That's us against us.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily believe that. I
You
don't
know,
necessarily believe that. I think that's how it will start, but I think it's very quick that we can turn the tables and make people understand that this isn't, you know, left versus right. This is state versus the people. This is authoritarianism versus freedom. I really do believe that.
But you
I
got
think the Civil War is a necessary catalyst. I think it's the spark. And I think we can take advantage of that.
People that are misled, that are under the false interpretation that what's going on right now is a racial issue. It is not a racial issue. It's a state issue. It's an authoritarian issue.
Yeah.
We have a problem with authoritarians. We have a problem with imperialism, especially when we're living in a republic, and we got a problem with democracy because
It's totally dead right now.
I mean, it's
groupthink. Majority rule should never overrule the rights of the individual. Right now, that's what people are demanding, both women and the right.
Here's one of those things where, like, not anybody in the room is agreeing, I think, because, like, even I don't really agree with Paxton either, because, like, I think that right now, as things are, we are perfectly ripe to be able to reach out and take control of the columns of this nation and rip it out from underneath the overheavy government that has formed.
Do it
However,
with peace. I
and
dare you. It's not
no,
gonna happen.
I think that we can if we drop this national game and take control of our homes. However, if we don't do
It's
that, and if we
too
don't do
little,
that
too late.
quickly, like
Too little, too late.
I think that we're very fast past that moment. If we don't do it right now, then the only other option is going to be more extreme because we're going to lose so much shit in the near future. And we've
I-
lost so much shit while we were squabbling, like the Patriot Act getting fucking instated while we
But
were
it
all
got
fucking
fucking
discussing.
passed. You had all these fucking groups disagreeing with it, and it still got passed. Your vote for Congress, your vote for Senate does not fucking matter. There's billions of dollars at stake here. There's establishment for hundreds of years that are funding these people that want us to have less and less freedoms. It's a long-term
That's true.
gain because they still see it as medieval. They see it as family names. They see it as long as my family name gets continued, we can still oppress these people. That's exactly what they're looking for. It's a family game. It's not just an individual game.
Right.
That's fair.
That's
And
why
it makes this
Both of y'all
very
are right.
fucking harrowing. Like, this
It
is
just
such an
depends on the
awful
day.
topic, you
It
know?
depends
Like,
on the
what we
day.
did tonight, is that you're absolutely right. It is a double-edged sword. Right now,
we're riding the edge of that sword right now, yeah. I think.
Yeah, because it's being used against us. We got to take control of the sword and start using it against them. And that's the only way that we're ever going to be able to get out of this situation. I'll tell you really quickly, but I got involved in the Black Lives Matter chapter meetings way early when it first started, like in 2016. And I was telling people, you're going to see a bubbling happen. It's like a volcano. You got the bubbling happening underneath the surface, but at some point that volcano is going to erupt. The George Floyd killing was an eruption of that volcano, and it was only the first of the eruption. It will continue to spew all of the ash and destruction coming out of it until we put a lid on it.
Yeah.
The people that are throwing gasoline on that fire, they want it to happen for a reason.
They do.
Why do they want that to happen? It's because it serves a purpose for them. I can't tell you how many Black people I've told that are supportive of the Black Lives Matter movement or whatever the case may be about George Soros, and it being pretty much a white man's agenda, a white man's movement that Black people have been swindled into believing it's for you. It's not. I've been assaulted by police officers. I've been supportive of police reform. Why hasn't Black Lives Matter done anything for me to help me in my effort? And I'm running for governor of the state because they don't give a fuck. We have a governor right now who's a Democrat who gets on TV and says, I care about Black lives because I have kids. But he also signed into law a bill that's supposed to prevent people or prevent police officers from using excessive force. It's called AB 392, the Stephon Clark law. He signed this into law last year. Since then, there's been over 130 officer-involved shootings, zero accountability. He doesn't give a fuck about Black lives. But because people are towing the line on
Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris is fucking the queen of police brutality, basically.
And they're going to vote for her blindly.
Yeah, they are.
Faithfully, simply because, she's a Democrat or because he's a Democrat and they're not the people we hate, Stop voting with hate, start voting with love.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
That's why they're voting. They're voting with fear and hate right now. It's all even that's what their platforms are. I'm not Joe Biden and I'm not Trump,
Right.
We were all joking the other day. We were like, well, if Trump dies from corona, then there goes Biden's whole fucking platform because Trump's dead. He's gonna have to redo his whole fucking marketing procedure and replace it with pence.
You know how many careers would end overnight? Jesus.
What's
But
that?
I mean, what I was getting at is, like, I'm not even an emotional person, but you know, talking about this shit is just so fucking hard for me. Like, recently I just went up to my Native American land where I'm Caddo, and it's just so heartbreaking to talk to those people and ask them, you know, why do they live on these reservations? Why do they live like this? And it's just hearing the history of it, just like we think of it as being so long ago, but it really wasn't. Like it was so recently that they were violently, aggressively oppressed and brutalized.
Yeah.
And it's just so hard for me to listen to. And whenever I'm having to explain to my significant others that, like, it's very likely for me to end up dying to a police officer because I decide that I'm not going to comply with them. I'm going to die on this hill. This is what I've decided on. I can't do it. I'm not going to be like the other people there that are letting their rights being trampled on. If that means that they end up killing me over this, then that's what I've decided on. I shouldn't have to explain that to my mother. I shouldn't have to explain that to my girlfriends. I shouldn't have to fucking explain that to anyone. That shouldn't be a reality where I'm dying because I'm trying to be a free man. And I shouldn't have to ask for permission. It's like Mike Dunn says in his fucking videos. In one of his active videos where the police comes up to him and ask him to disperse. And he asks, do free men ask for permission? And of course, everybody says no. Everybody says no. And what does the police officer do? Because he realizes he's outgunned, he's outnumbered. He says, okay, and he fucking walks off. That's what we have to do as a population. We have to realize that the police, number one, aren't on our side. 99%, and you might disagree with me, but as far as my belief goes, 99% of the police population, I believe they are there because they want to fucking be bullies. They have some kind of dictatorial complex in their system where they want to oppress people. And I believe they are there to fucking oppress people. I think that is the only reason they exist.
I think the position gives them an opportunity to act on that selflessness.
I agree.
That's what's the draw for people to want to obtain that job is that I get to exact my prejudices out on other people. I'm straight out of high school. I can't stand everybody. And now I got this job where I have a gun and I have to enforce these sets of policies. You're a policy enforcer. Take away those policies. Now you get to see that person for their true colors.
It's literally the same copy and paste of the Proud Boys without the badge, as far as I'm concerned.
They are quite the bootlickers. Like, I don't think they're racist, but they are definitely bootlickers.
I mean, they eat the boot. They eat.
God, yeah.
It's a buffet.
It's a giant buffet of boot.
And if you try to tell them, they say, "What's wrong with the boot? Don't it taste good? It's a good boot." No.
I'm like, no, thank you.
And that's where you can tell them you're not a red hat. You're a red coat. That's what you really are. You know, you're a traitor to your country and all of its principles and the freedom of the individual.
I don't know.
What our ancestors fought for and died for is being lost right now. It's hitting the wayside.
100%. I don't know if you've had that conversation. We're very fortunate that Mike Dunn and other liberty-minded people get to have this conversation recorded with people. But one of my favorite things ever is when liberty-minded people get to have this conversation with police officers, like in the back of a police car or right before they go into a police car, where they're like, you do realize this is completely unconstitutional, is it? And like, if this was George Washington, it would be, you know, yada, yada, yada. And the police officer just gets really fucking quiet while they have like an internal debate with themselves.
Oh, yeah. I've had these conversations with police officers and they would turn around and say, well, I'm just doing my job.
Oh my God. Don't you start that, you SS officer motherfucker. God damn it.
That's the biggest cop-out. That's the number one response if you ever speak to an officer and just, you know, with them and say, why are you enforcing laws that you know are unjust, unlawful, unconstitutional, immoral? And they will say, I'm just doing my job.
Oh
Okay,
my God.
if they said your job is to go out there and kill every black person that you see, would you do it? Oh, no, I wouldn't do that. Yes, you would. You just said you're just doing your job.
Just doing your job.
Mike Dunn literally talks about this exact thing, where it's the police officer specifically said that he drew his line at confiscation, and Mike Dunn's like, I don't know. Do you know who Mike Dunn is?
I do not, but I'm gonna have to learn now.
Mike Dunn is a prominent member of the Boogaloo movement. He was actually on Vice
He's got one of
talking
the
about the Boogaloo
stronger
movement.
Probably
messages
do that.
out there.
But anyway, he got arrested at a recent rally.
Other groups.
What?
Say that again.
Do I?
They're training other groups.
Yeah.
In Virginia, he's like started at like what was it, like 18 or something, militia
Yeah.
or something.
Young. He's former Navy. He's
Fucking
former
Christ almighty, he makes
Marine.
me feel lazy.
But he got arrested at a Spike rally.
Yeah,
at
the reason
no
why
less.
we're hyper focused on it is because he got arrested at a Spike rally like a couple of days ago.
This guy is wearing a suit, looking crisp as fuck, might I add. I mean, that suit is tailored, let me just tell you. But he's open and carrying at this rally, and there's plenty of other people open carrying. And
rally.
obviously, the police come up directly to him and
Yeah, there
arrest
were
him.
other people there open carrying that didn't get bothered, from what I understand.
And so, you know, they're going back and forth, but Spike goes up to these police officers, and this is where Spike lost us. He starts negotiating with the police officers.
If he
what if
agrees
he
to comply, will you leave him alone? And Dunn just looks up and goes, I will not comply.
I will not, yes, I will not comply.
It's all calm. He didn't freak out or anything. He was just like, I will not. And you just watch Spike just kind of like deflate a little. And I was like, no, dude, you're supposed to be like, well, then neither do I. And you get people over there. You don't have to start a fight.
And people were arguing for Spike. Like, oh, but he's running for vice president and stuff. Think of his rating. Adam Kokesh is famous for being arrested. What do you mean?
What do you mean? Right. If he got arrested, okay, like, they're all like, what should he have done? Gotten arrested with him? And I'm like, yeah.
I would literally, if Spike got arrested for fighting with Mike, I would literally devote like all my vocation time from my daytime job to go to every single fucking rally. I guarantee you.
I fucking hate presidents altogether and the national game altogether because I think that it's the biggest part of the problem. But if you want to be a leader of this nation and you want to claim to be a man of liberty, you better fucking get arrested with them. You better fucking get arrested with the rest of us, with all of us. I don't give a shit who it is. Fuck Mike, get arrested with Bob down the street. I don't fucking care.
Well, that's the thing, is you don't have too many people out there that are willing to die for their principles. They don't stand for their principles. They talk about it and they water it down when it's necessary. And me personally, I feel like there's never a time when I should water it down my conviction on me wanting to live free, period. There is no compromise. I will not comply. And if I'm willing to go to jail for it, and I have went to jail for it. My wife doesn't like that part, but let her know, hey, I wouldn't be genuine in being a man of principle if I were to fold on that issue. And as much as I want to provide for my family and keep them safe and protect them, I also must make sure that I'm doing so fully and morally, 100%. It's unfortunate that, again, you do have some people that are put in positions of leadership that feel like they need to compromise that in some way in order to win over voters. But to me, you can win a larger audience by standing true to form on being who you are and who you claim to be. So you're right. Spike, definitely, he could have went to jail. He probably would have got a lot of publicity out of it and gain some more attention towards the Jorgensen campaign.
But my 100%. Liberty boner watching him do that just went.
I love
like I can't do it. I can't. Like, I'd already gotten upset a bit because of when Joe. I don't know if you saw that, but she blames it on her people. But they put a guy, like when she put out her list for SCOTUS, they put a guy on the list that like defended fucking Epstein and what's her name.
But before we go into that,
I kind of started to lose steam then.
Yeah.
Before we go into that, I just kind of wanted to build on what Mr. Wildstar said here. And one of the things that I've really tried to explain to my family, and this seems to be the most effective way, is I come from a Christian background, of course. It's colonizers, you know how it is. It's
Colonizers, you fucking white
Uh,
man.
I'm a
Big rat.
fourth caddo. I'm the most oppressed motherfucker. What do you mean?
I'm just teasing.
Like, if I was a
Someone's gonna
transsexual,
clip that.
like, I would be on the top of the Antifa ranks. What do you mean right now? Oh my God. But anyway, so one of the things that I try to express to them whenever I'm talking about the severity of the issues of dying on this hill is like, one of the things that I was taught in Christianity, and I know all of you were taught, was it's very likely, or at least semi-likely, what happens if a other ideology comes, kidnaps you, and says, convert to this ideology or we kill you.
Right.
That is exactly what the state is to me.
Yeah,
that is exactly what the state is to me.
I
And
agree with you.
they tell me to just
really good
comply
way to
with the
put that.
police. When I tell them that, if the police pull me over and I tell them I'm not going to be exiting my vehicle because I don't feel safe, that's exactly the same thing to me. I'm sorry. But if I exit my vehicle, I no longer have my firearms anywhere near me, and they're able to do whatever the fuck they want to me. I don't have my camera on them. I don't feel safe. I'm not doing that. It's not happening. And like you said, obviously there's some dispute with Maj Toure, and I respect that. But like what Maj Toure has said, at the end of the day, my commitment is I'm going home.
Mm-hmm.
That's the end of it. I don't
Like,
care. At
if
the end of the day, I don't give a shit
it's
what the
okay
fuck
for
your
that
badge
to be
says.
their
This is
answer.
man to man. And when it comes to man, I'm going home. I have made that commitment to myself. And if that
Well,
means I have to answer to a jury the next day, that's fine. I would rather that.
And it's totally understandable when the cop says, well, I just want to make it home at the end of the day. I don't understand why it's not understandable when one of us says it.
It's man to man. That's the way I see it.
Because we're supposed to be servants of the state where, we're seen as subjects.
Exactly.
And as long as we are seen as being
Maybe
inferior.
we should just start reminding them, like every time we see one, we should be like, hello, public servant.
Yeah. That's how I approach them. You are a public servant. If you don't think you should be a servant of the public, you're in the wrong job. I openly say I am loving to have the opportunity and desiring to have an opportunity to serve the people of California. And I will be a humble servant in doing my job. I'm not going to take the position to make it seem like I'm an authority figure that they need to be respectful of. My only job is to be respectful of you and your wishes. We, the people of California, that got me into that position to make sure, again, I can make sure that every public servant does exactly that. And that's just honoring their oath. It's as simple as that. Right. We, the people, free people, do not take an oath to protect other people in our community. If we do so, we're doing it out of the kindness of our heart as human beings. Sworn state official is doing so against their will. If they have a problem with that, you need to drop that job, and become a civilian again. Any person that's been in the military, they take that oath to protect the people from all threats, foreign and domestic. They live that to their dying day. And even if they aren't in the military anymore, they still take that oath to heart. And I think as human beings, we automatically respond in that way. But when we are paying certain people to do that specifically, they have a problem with it, you're fired. And it's that simple.
Yeah.
It should be.
It definitely should be.
So I've had this is, to me, this is a really good conversation. I really enjoy you. You seem like a really, down to earth person.
I hope you agree to come back again, because I'd love to talk in depth about all sorts of other things, not even just the governor stuff, because you seem to have like a plethora of interesting views and information and stuff like that.
Why don't we wait? Why don't we wait until the election time comes, whether you win, and hopefully we can call you Mr. Governor Wildstar, or rather unfortunately, the people are they decide they really like the taste of leather. we can have you back on the show and we can talk about more stuff.
I would love that. It would definitely be an honor. I'm pretty sure there's much more that we're going to be talking about then, but I'm always going to be the governor of me, and no one governs my life other than me, myself, and I. So if we, the people of California, want to give me an opportunity to govern for them, it would be an honor to do so. But again, as any elected official, given that title, you're not going to be automatically be given the privilege to govern over me and my own personal affairs. That's for me to choose and decide for myself, and I always will.
What a radical and extremist.
Oh,
Jesus.
my God.
Till death, damn it.
Might as well just be supporting Hamas. Jesus.
What's that?
Might as well just be supporting Hamas, like the rest of you guys.
God,
Jesus.
proactive and everything. Jeez. Once other people, you're a menace. An absolute menace.
I bet you grow your own vegetables.
Oh, God. That's the worst kind.
You're collecting rainwater now?
I drive a car without a damn license.
Oh my God! Oh man, we got a fascist on our hands, boys. Oh Jesus!
Yes, because I don't need an operator's license to prove to you I know how to drive. Shit,
oh my God.
Doing so is all the proof you need. Leave me alone. Fuck insurance, fuck plates. I'm all about the Constitution, and like I said, that applies to those elected officials. So I'm going to make sure that I run around as an individual with this little thing in my pocket saying, if I need to remind you of the rules that apply to you, then so be it. These rules do not apply to me, So
if any of our California buddies or watchers or anything see this, and I hope they fucking do, and I'm going to be cramming it in people's faces too.
Please do.
If they see this and they want to help you, what is the best way to do that?
Visit my website, governorwildstar.com, just like my name.
That is linked right below, yeah.
Yes, governorwildstar.com. Just visit my website. I have all information about my previous campaigns for governor, and I will be adding a link soon for my new campaign for 2022. But in the meantime, that's pretty much the hub that I have to provide to the public. And of course, like I said, money gets this squeaky wheel going. So if you want to donate, please click on the donate tab on my website. You can donate to my political campaign for California governor, or you can donate to me personally to help me out by clicking any one of those donation links. And I also accept Bitcoin. I got the information up there so you can scan it, send me some.
That's what I was about to ask. I was like, you take crypto.
Dude, you know it. Decentralized money. So
when are you joining our compound in the Ozarks?
I actually have a buddy up in in Canada. I forgot what city. Starts with an M, I believe.
Minneapolis.
What's that?
Minneapolis.
In Canada, dude?
I don't fucking know anything in Canada. I don't give a shit of anything north of fucking Dallas. What do you mean?
He has about 30 acres in Canada, and he's creating a self-sustainable community with earthships and shit.
You just can't call anyone she and her.
Everybody needs to do more of that too.
We do, definitely.
Yeah. We just need to take the reins and stop waiting for other people to fix it for us.
Exactly.
Y'all are a bunch of fucking extremists. I don't appreciate it. Fucking Al-Qaeda motherfuckers. I don't.
Great. We've listed all the no words. This is so getting taken down. Oh my God.
The video gonna get banned. If it doesn't, I'll be damn surprised. Censorship is
Look,
real.
hey, we have said some stuff on some of these shows, and I don't know how the hell we.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I get pretty raunchy.
People are getting their accounts and stuff banned. They've banned Patrick from Facebook. Disenthrall.
I can't even make an account.
They banned him from Facebook and him too. Yeah, they banned fucking Paxton, and I still have a fucking Facebook account and everything. I'm just coasting by, just continuing to do what I do. Just I expect to be shot down at any minute. I'm
You're
oppressed.
oppressed.
I have too
You're
many
Native
hashtags.
American transgender. You're too high ranked. I'm
Too
telling
many
you.
hashtags.
Well, just keep flying under the radar. We certainly appreciate it because there's people like me out there digging in the crates on the underground, and we appreciate all that you're doing. So thank you guys.
Remind me again,
As
real
long as
quick,
we
so we
can,
can
till the
have
wheels fall off.
so we can have a quick cutoff here. What are all your links?
GovernorWildstar.com, of course, on my website. You can click on any of the social media icons for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It's right at the top of my website, as well as my YouTube link as well. So
Gotcha.
wherever you look, you can Google Governor Wildstar, and I'll come up. I'm the one and only.
So next thing is, fuck, I forgot.
Do you have anything that you would like to plug specifically?
Oh yeah, the plug
before
thing.
We ask
Well,
people
more so, right now, I'm asking for anybody and everybody in California to get involved in a recall process so we can recall our governor. I'm still a resident of the state and working class citizen, just like every one of you. So please definitely go to recallgavin2020.com, print out the petition, circulate the petition, or sign it, of course, and then circulate that, get some friends and family to sign it, and then send that in so we can get rid of our governor right now. We want that special election sooner than later.
And how far away do you guys have an estimate of how much you've already gathered so far?
I believe it's over 750,000, so 750,000, but we need 1.5 million in order to get him out of office. So we're halfway there. We want to make sure that we get all the signatures that we need and more by that November 17th deadline. So
Can't
again,
you just send ballots like that? They're already doing.
Just make some up.
Dead people. Yeah, it's fine.
we like the Democrats.
Just do dead people. Yeah.
5 times.
It's fine.
I wish we could, but they're
Get some Russian bots.
most. Yeah, they want to prevent us from being able to rebel against our governor. And like I said, if we can all get behind that effort, because it is being promoted mainly by the Republican Party of California. I'm doing my best to kind of get the Libertarian Party out in the forefront to let them know this is a bipartisan effort. We can get more Democrats involved. It'll be a tripartisan effort. So
that'd be pretty
more
cool.
people involved in the recall, the more successful it will be. So help in that effort. And like I said, please do what you can to help me build my campaign. They spend millions of dollars to get you to pay attention. You can do it for free. Do all of what you're doing for them for money. Do it for me and these guys, Mad LiberTEA, to help pay attention to what we're doing. Okay. Yeah. It don't cost a thing. People think, you got to spend all of this exorbitant amount of money, but it's unnecessary. We just need the numbers.
A simple share helps a lot.
A simple share helps a million. I'll share my own shit 50 times or more. Now, if I'm the only one sharing my own shit 50 times, if I have 5 people sharing my shit 50 times, now what am I doing? You know what I'm saying? We're expanding. That's what we want to do. We want to expand and grow and increase our audience. So we have an opportunity to make sure that our platforms, our media resources are seen and heard by more people.
So the question I remembered is, what is the voting date? Like, let's assume you can't get them out of office. What is the voting date?
March 8th, 2022. So California primary is in March of 2022.
Well, hopefully we can talk before that. I don't want to wait that damn long.
Absolutely. I'm with you.
This was too much fun. I don't want to do that.
All right, cool. Well, I appreciate your time, and you guys definitely have a great evening. And I hope
thank you so much for coming.
Pleasure. God bless you guys. Take care.
Later, man.
Be safe. Right. Watch your 6. And if you guys want to help us get the word out, and you guys want to help get his word out, just like he said, we've got to share this stuff, like it, put it out there, play with his hashtags at him, get people looking towards stuff, because like if we don't take it by the reins right now, we probably won't be able to. So this is the time to get up and do some shit.
You can't just fucking rebel, start kidnapping the governors.
Oh my God, we're going to fucking jail.
In Minecraft.
In Minecraft. Anyways, if you guys
It's a
want to help
Minecraft
us
server.
out, we have a coin tree below. We have a subscribe star below. We have fucking bills. We're doing stuff out of our pockets a lot. It's okay. We're going to continue to do that, but we'd love some fucking help so that we can get bigger and better and go more places and cover more things and get the truth out there and shit like that, because obviously the media is fucking failing us. And we need to have these important conversations and spread these faces.
I just want to point out I would never kidnap Governor Kevin Stent because he allowed constitutional carry. But Texas is the most gun righteous place ever, even though I can go there and be a federal criminal.
Well, I just want to say that I would never fucking kidnap Governor Asa because we would never get that fucking stench out. Like, no way. Somebody else could do it, but I'm not gonna fucking do that
Kevin
shit.
Stent is actually pretty based.
Fuck him.
Other than
Fuck
him
Asa.
fighting with the Native Americans, he's pretty based. I like him.
But Ricky, you better get rid of Tom.
Don't kidnap your governors.
No, don't kidnap him. Just beat him in the election.
Unless you're not gonna do a trial, unless there's no trial for treason.
Oh God, this is getting clipped. Anyways, y'all get down in the Y'all get down in the freaking links.
Give us money. We're still buying a wood chipper and a 3D printer.
Yeah, and join our community and come talk to us and
3, 2,
get down in the comments and all that
1.
shit. Bye. Be safe.